Matty and Steve, they set the stage. From classic bouts to the modern age. Every slam, every story, every legacy comes alive with wrestling pedigree. So tune on in, the spotlight's bright. The ring is ready on this podcast night. It's wrestling pedigree.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new episode of the Wrestling Pedigree. I'm your co-host, Matty. And along with me tonight is somebody that is with Wrestling Pedigree for life. The last real general manager of NWO, Steve Akins. How are you, sir?
Oh, Matty, it has been a week. Well, let's just say that it has been a week. Great Elimination Chamber last night, but more importantly, I am ready to talk about arguably the greatest faction in wrestling history, and that's the NWO. Because I know, just as well as you do, that when you're NWO for life.
You know what? So you actually did a survey. Thank you so much for joining me as usual. Like you said, it's gonna be a fun episode. So let's get straight into this. As I would say me and you are kind of like WCW marks. We like our old WCW.
Yeah, I mean with the majority of my dad's side of the family being from Georgia. Like my grandmother was a huge WCW fan. And I remember, toward the end of her life, she was watching wrestling all the time. And let's see, she passed in 2003. So she saw the end of WCW, but she was a huge Ric Flair fan. She was a huge Sting fan. And the thing that surprised me the most is she was a big NWO fan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was there anyone in particular that she was like too sweet for?
She was a big Buff Bagwell fan. She loved Buff. She loved Scott Steiner. She loved the big muscly men.
In that case, if she was watching it today, whew.
Oh yeah,
she
would be all over Oba family. Yeah,
I can see her coming into the room like this. Hey, Leslie. Bless her. When was your first intro? I know this is WCW Mouse now on Wrestling Pedigree. What was your first interaction with WCW? Like your first time?
Probably going to my grandparents' house. They lived about 20 minutes south of me. I live in Manchester, New Hampshire. I lived in Manchester, New Hampshire. They lived down in Nashua, New Hampshire, which is where Triple H is from. And I'd go down there, not very often, but when I did, I'd sit there with my grandmother, and I think it was 6:05 p.m. or 7:05 p.m. WCW Saturday Night would come on, and we'd sit there and we'd just watch it.
It's kind of similar to me. In the UK, it was kind of hard to get WCW. Like WWF back then was on Sky Sports, and it all depended. We had TNT here, but you had to have a chip box, which is like kind of like the VPN back then. So you had to have a chip. This is people in the UK will know what I mean by this. Chip Telewest box. Put that in, type in 22, and then we got TNT, and then we can watch Nitro. I used to flick through that and then put on Sky Sports. So just literally screwing up the Nelson ratings.
We kind of had the same thing here in the U.S., but everybody knew it as the black box. It was just literally illegal cable.
We are promoting that. They just no, we're not.
Yes.
We're not. Well, everybody else is doing 3 p.m. So, I mean, if fucking Chris Vanderlei and fucking Fightful are doing it, why not fuck us?
Yeah.
So let's get into it. NWO was formed on the 7th of July, 1996. But before we get into that, do you remember Scott Hall walking down those steps?
I do.
What was your take? Where you think you're just going to watch a random? It looked like a random match was going to happen, and then you see Razor coming down.
I didn't know what to think. I was excited to see him in WCW, but I was like, oh my god, is this an invasion? Because obviously it's 1996. I'm 12 years old at the time. I'm not really, I don't understand the business. It was like,
Yeah.
what is going on? Why is Razor Ramon here? Wait, he just said, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. What does that mean? Who's this big guy that he's starting to talk about?
It was back then. Kayfabe was real. I mean,
Yep.
really real. So, you was like 12. You said, yeah.
Yep.
So, not want to make you feel old, but at the time I was 7 or 8. So at that time, I was thinking I'm probably on the wrong channel because why Razor is on WCW. I'm literally thinking
Yeah.
I'm on Sky Sports. I'm thinking, right, I got to switch over, and then it's literally him. And I'm listening to him, and he has the same Cuban voice. He has the same look. He has the same walk structure. And like you said, he did that great promo. I could not believe it. And I thought, oh, wow, they're actually going to have a war. And for me, when I was that kind of age, Power Rangers was really big for me.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of like Green Ranger versus Red Ranger when Tommy was a bit fucked up. So
Yep.
for me, it was that kind of inter-promotional kind of stuff. So I was loving it. And then obviously, I think it was a couple of weeks later, Big Daddy Cool, Diesel, Kevin Nash.
Yep.
It was. Did you find it weird that they were using their real names?
I did. So I was like, wait, that's not Scott Hall. That's Razor Ramon.
Just because of K-Wave.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash showed up, debuted. Both of them I think they had the guaranteed contracts. Obviously, there was more money in WCW than it was in WWF. And then and they were called the Outsiders. I thought the Outsiders was a great name, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's exactly what they were. They came from outside the company. And for everything that the announcers knew, they were coming to invade.
Absolutely. And that caused a bit of a fuck up. I love this shirt. If you're listening to this on whatever podcast you're listening to this on, Steve has an Outsider shirt, which is it the movie?
Yes, it's the movie poster, but instead of everybody there, it's all been replaced with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash's face.
So Steve comes prepared with shirts. I love it. Every time we do an episode, I always think of what shirt Steve's gonna wear. Myself, however, I'm wearing Punk just because, by God, what a match last night. However, in the near future, you will see Wrestling Pedigree merch on this fat bastard, which is available now in the link below. During this debuts, we had a very interesting lawsuit which I've done some research about, WWF filed a lawsuit claiming that Bischoff had proposed interpromotional matches that would air on TBS and TNT, thereby associating the two promotions with each other, which is saying this is Razor, this is Diesel. They had to come out, I think, the episode before Great American Bash to say we're not part of the WWF, we're free agents. And they powerbomb Bischoff through the table.
Yep.
What was your take? Are you obviously we're hearing a lot of podcasts. Like I'm a big fan of like some of the Wrestle with JBL and all that. What was your take on hearing that lawsuit and just like crazy that was back then?
I mean, I understand why WWF had to go ahead with it because they were kind of promoting these guys as, hey, they're coming from the WWF. They're coming to try to take over WCW from the WWF.
Yeah.
So they kind of had to make it clear that, hey, you know what? These guys aren't from WWF. They are acting on their own. They are not acting in the interest of Stamford, Connecticut.
I do find it funny because of the result of this, JR, I think it was the next week, he said, oh, Diesel and Razor are going to show up here next week on Monday Night Raw, and my God, you'll see them. And they are fakes, which one of them is now the mayor of Knoxville.
Yes.
Glenn Jacobs. It's crazy to think what happened, like the stuff he went through. Isaac Yankum, fake Diesel, and Kane, and here's the thing that gets me is because of that, WCW gave an extra $1 million, I think, to both of them, to Scott Hall and Nash, to keep them there. Well, they already signed contract.
Yep.
So they gave them a contract on top of another contract, and they just got more money. I think every time someone got signed, like Hogan, no, like what's it? I think whoever came, like Bret Hart, come over, their money will go up more because they'll be the top earners. You got to think these two were the best businessmen of politics, wouldn't they?
Oh, absolutely. If you listen to Kevin Nash, he knows what he's doing. Listen to Nash's podcast. He knows what he's doing business-wise. And he's, as much as I didn't love him in the ring, I love his mind for the business.
He needed that money, and he needed that safety net, because back then there was no guaranteed contracts in WWF. They give you, hey, we probably give you 30 days, 300 days.
Right.
But we don't know how much pay we're going to give you. With WCW, hey, we'll just give you $500,000 for 20 days.
Yep.
Which is probably around 20 to 25 nitros. July the 7th, 1996, Bash at the Beach. Now, I always want to talk to you about this because you do like your Hogan. How did it feel to have your heart broken by a 40-something guy leg drop in the face of Slim Jim?
My heart wasn't broken.
Right, mine was.
Because at that point, the red and yellow had kind of died to me. To me, I was starting to look more to like the Steve Austins, to the people that had the attitude. My taste in wrestlers changed. My taste in their personalities changed. And
me and you were ECW marks also.
Yeah.
But we liked our ECW. Mostly ECW was the changing of our look on wrestling, don't you say?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, this was a much, much needed change for Hogan. And obviously with the first couple of promos that he shot with the NWO, he was still very much in that old school wrestler mindset where everything had to be over the top. And, you know, shooting those first couple of promos where they're black and white, he's getting all excited. He's flexing, and, you know, you've got Nash and Hall just kind of chilling. And I think, you know, at that point, they probably looked at him and said, "Hey, Terry, you got to calm down with these. You got to be, you know, you got to be more of a badass. Don't try to sell yourself. This gimmick is going to sell you."
Yeah. Rumor has it was supposed to be Sting.
Originally, that's what I've heard. That originally it was supposed to be Sting.
Yeah. I
don't know how that would have worked.
I don't know how it would have worked. I remember watching Legends of Wrestling, which was on the network years ago. Nash said it was supposed to be Sting, but Sting was hesitant in doing it. So, but Hogan saw that money train and went, "Ooh, I need to get on that." And yeah, he made a lot of money going Hollywood.
He sure did.
Wasn't it fitting that he leg dropped Savage after all the history he did in WWF?
Oh, absolutely. You know, they had all that history in the 80s, the mega powers exploding. I don't think it could have been anybody else that he leg dropped. Even if it was somebody like Flair, I don't think it would have had that impact.
It had to be Savage then. Do you remember the trash? And I remember me and Gene getting hit on the nose with some trash and stuff like that. It was crazy to see that reaction. And I think it wasn't in the Disney arena, was it?
No. See, when they first turned, I forget where they were. They were outside.
It was back at the beach.
Was it Tampa?
Could be Tampa. But either way, it was because they did so many outdoor. One thing I loved about WCW in this period, they did so much outdoor arenas.
They did. Yep.
That obviously is a big thing now in WWE and AEW, but it's so freaking awesome to see it back then. But I remember the interview, Hogan saying, "This is the new world order, professional wrestling, brother." Forward 1 month, one of my favorite pay-per-views. I know a lot of people shit on this, but Hog Wild is so freaking awesome. Not if you want to hear anything, because you hear the motorcycles a lot more. But I loved it when it was in the forest, and it was so prickly done well.
I mean, it was definitely very fitting for the NWO.
And for Bishop, because he's a biker.
Yeah. But you kind of had to figure that the NWO, that's what they were kind of portraying themselves as, was they were portraying themselves as a motorcycle gang.
Yeah.
Without actually being a motorcycle gang.
It's when seeing I think Nash said they had the bandanas. They were LA gangs kind of thing, like the LA gang vibe.
Yep.
Hog Wild, Hollywood Hogan won the world title after knocking out the Giant with his title. Do you remember what happened after that title match on that night?
No, I don't.
He grabbed the title, laid it on the floor
with the spray paint.
Yep. With the spray paint, right? NWO. That's one of the most shocking things for me I ever seen.
You know, that title belt is actually in his Tampa store. When I went down there for my son's high school graduation, we went to Hogan's Beat Shop.
No.
And I got to touch that. I got to touch his old belt that like the old WWF title belt, like before the Winged Eagle.
The 87.
Yeah, like the 84 to 87.
Yeah. Oh man, was it really cool there? That's one place I would love to go is shop.
Um, it was and it wasn't, but I have my own reasons why I think that it wasn't. But I will not get into those on Wrestling Pedigree because I would rather not talk about politics on Pedigree.
I give you that. I will give you that. Especially this week. After that, a fourth member. I'll go test your. I'm going to test you throughout this episode of who joins, right? So who was the fourth member that joined?
$1 Million Man Ted DiBiase.
Was it $1 Million Man? Are you having a Nelson? Are you having a Nelson Mandela effect?
I think I'm having a Nelson Mandela effect. 4. Who was number 4?
No, you were right. It was
Okay.
DiBiase, but it wasn't $1 Million. They named him Trillionaire Ted.
Yes, Trillionaire Ted. Yes.
Which
But we know it. We also know him as the $1 Million Man, though.
Exactly.
We will never call him Trillionaire Ted.
I mean, you got more chance of being a million, not a fucking trillion. 2nd of September, on a Monday Nitro, NWO got their first WCW member. Who was that? I'll give you a clue. He's won every title, every world title he's been in, apart from the one he's in now.
Oh, who was number 5?
I could give you another clue.
Was it Paul White?
Yes.
Okay.
You're lucky you said Paul White because the other clue I was going to do, I was going to sing his song. You don't want that. No one don't want that on their own. No. Yeah, he was the first WCW wrestler to join. That defected. He was all WCW. He betrayed the Dungeon of Doom. He betrayed the Four Horsemen and Randy Savage. Even though that couple of weeks before he lost the title to Hogan, they thought it was good business for him to join the NWO. I want to know your take on the Dungeon of Doom. What did you think of that?
Oh, it was so campy that it was good.
Kevin Sullivan is a genius, though.
He is. And I mean, what he was able to do with the Giant and the Zodiac, the Shark, the Yeti, King Curtis. It was it was so campy, but I loved every second of it because wrestling should be campy.
Exactly. You should give you curses and come out with boxes.
Exactly. We love you, Justin.
Oh shit. Here's a good thing I just found out. This is Hogan's heel run. This was Hogan's first heel run since 1981 in AWA for Vergonia. That's nuts, isn't it? That he was a face from 83 all the way until 1996. It's just mad.
Yeah. Although in the eyes of the fans, he was probably a heel in about 94.
Yes, he was getting booed a lot. He got booed a lot when it was him versus Flair. I remember that.
Yeah, or probably even 93 when he won the belt from Yokozuna at Mania 9.
Oh yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
We will go into that WrestleMania soon. Net smoke. Now this is summer. We did touch on this a little bit, but I'm looking forward to this. There was a fake Sting.
Yes, Jeff Harmer.
Who debuted on September the 9th. So 1 week after the Giant wins, the Giant comes over. Fake Sting helped NWO at the Full Brawl a couple of weeks later. there's so much deception in the war games. So like Sting with WCW or Z with NWO. This was some confusion shit, but it was a really good storyline, don't you think?
Yeah, I thought it was great, but at the same time, it was kind of like the Undertaker versus the Underfaker.
Do you think DiBiase came up with that at the writers thing? Say, hey,
Probably.
hey, Eric, I got an idea.
Hey, we did this with Mark. Why not do it with Sting?
It did get over, but we're going to try it with this one.
Yeah.
I got so confused because it didn't really look like Sting. It did not look like Steve Borden at all. However, the War Games match, which was shitty anyway in the full brawl because of that fake Sting. Throughout that whole rest of the year, really, NWO dominated WCW. Hogan with the title. And then we had Halloween Havoc, 96. Outsiders defeat one of the greatest tag teams ever, Harlem Heat. The fact that, what's your take on the Harlem Heat? Because for me, they're in my top 5.
Oh yeah. Booker T and Stevie Ray were absolutely great together. Obviously, they knew how each other wrestled. I mean, hell, they grew up together. One of the absolute, well, probably the best WCW tag team of all time.
Oh yeah, I think Road Warriors might have to say something about that, but I agree with you.
I associate the Road Warriors more with AWA and NWA.
Yeah, I give you that one. I would give you that one.
However, Tully and Arn might have something to say about it.
House of Four Horsemen or the Brainbusters?
Yeah. Yes.
Who was the sixth member?
Come on. It was 6.
Fucking
A, Matty.
No, I was thinking, how long do you think they came up with that fucking name? No, WCW probably came out with a long while.
I think they probably said, let's see, 1, 2, 3 kid, 1 + 2 + 3 = 6. We'll call him 6.
Not that he's a sit fucking member, but we'll just count how many times he could do it.
Yeah.
Oh god. Oh, we're gonna get heat for this. I will just touch on a storyline that I when I'm doing research for this, it was really, really cool. There was a kayfabe storyline that WCW wrestlers couldn't fight non-title NWO wrestlers. So there was this thing where WCW management said you cannot face anyone of the NWO that is not wearing a WCW title belt because technically they are not contracted with WCW. Because they were unrecognized by WCW, NWO went to Saturday Night, and there was NWO Saturday Night. And you remember the vignettes of them being in the ring, no one in the audience, and they're being up jobbers, they're the referee, and they all got the fucking camcorders and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I just thought you could do that now and it'd be badass.
Oh yeah, especially with how deep the WWE roster is, or even the AEW roster, they could totally do something like that.
Oh, absolutely. November the 18th, we're still in 1996, so there's a lot of shit going on for a couple of years. November 18th, Nitro in South Carolina. Sorry, as a UK, we like to do the accent. When you guys say war games in British accent, we just go South Carolina. Piper and Bischoff segment. Can you remember that?
Oh, very, very vaguely.
So obviously Piper wants Hogan. He's going through management. Bischoff's there, and then the NWO comes out. And then Bischoff is announced to be one of the secret NWO guys. Obviously Bischoff did it before Vince, but how do you feel about Bischoff being a heel management, which was the first in its kind, I thought.
Yeah. I thought it was brilliant booking. Which honestly, I kind of, in the prediction league, I kind of took what Bischoff did and kind of made it my own with my character Malchus Taroga.
And better.
Yes, I did.
On that night, Lex Luger defeated the Giant, marking NWO's first pinfall loss.
Yeah.
Also during that, Bischoff gave WCW guys 30 days to join NWO. So contracts, they gave them contracts for stuff like that. Do you remember who picked up that contract? There's four names. One you already mentioned.
Believe Scott Steiner was one of them.
No, but you got Scott right, but it wasn't that one.
Scott Norton.
Yes.
Buff.
Yes. He turned on Scotty Riggs. Loves all Scotty Riggs. The other ones I was quite surprised with, because I kind of forgot a little bit. Mr. Wall Street.
Yes, I do remember that.
Which was IRS. He was offered a contract by Ted DiBiase and Big Bubba Rogers.
Yes. Which makes sense with what they were doing with it being all old WWF guys. Giving it to the boss man, giving it to IRS. Makes sense.
And then you got Scott Norton, who was really big in New Japan, I think, at that time also.
Yeah. So that guy was a brick shithouse.
Oh, I would love for him to be around this era because he was being so good for AEW. And here's the match I want to talk to you about. So in the storyline, Eddie Guerrero is the US champion. And he has a title match against Sitz, sold out in a ladder match. Can you remember this match? And by God, it was a slobber knocker.
Yeah, I do remember this match.
I was a massive fan of Eddie before, but this match proved it. And so was Sitz. I mean, Sean Waltman here was unbelievable before his injury.
Oh, yeah. There's a reason why, Vince would send the kid out to test new guys and say, how are they?
Yep.
When you come back through Gorilla, you tell me pass or fail.
It was a great match, and I highly recommend people to watch it on WCW YouTube. I think it's on there. This is gonna be fun. Nick Patrick. God bless his crooked ass. He was. Oh, I hated him in 2001 in Invasion, but I forgot how much of an annoying referee he was to support the Hills in the late 90s. Him joining NWO made sense, right?
Yeah, and I loved the concept of having the crooked NWO referee gimmick. It was a stroke of genius.
Oh God!
Like a lot of things that WCW was doing at that time.
Apart from, I think the only crooked ref I see, apart from obviously Nick Patrick, was Ted DiBiase paying off one of the Hebners.
Yep.
When Andre won the title and stuff like that. So yeah, it was such a cool concept. We're not going to talk about Starrcade 97 because we're going to save that for a later episode this month, which Steve is really looking forward to. Well, I'm just going to shit on it for an hour. Super Bowl 97, Outsiders lose their tag titles to Luger and Giant. That is one hell of a tag team, don't you think?
Yeah, that was. It was definitely a tag team. I can't say how good they were though.
Obviously, Giant got kicked out of the NWO, but because he wanted to face Hogan, because I think he won the World War III the year before.
Mhm.
However, I saw Giant smoking his way to the ring, and I think he was a little bit pissed. I think he was a little bit drunk. Do you remember this kind of Giant back then?
Yep. Yeah, I remember that.
Did you think it was badass he was doing that then?
Oh yeah, and at that time, the Giant could move.
Yeah.
He was a huge guy, and he could fly around the ring.
Kick
For a guy his size, he was huge. He was quick. He was agile.
Mhm.
It was amazing being able to watch him between the ropes.
I do think he stole a smoking gimmick from Sandman, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Which apparently, according to Paul Heyman, everything was stolen from ECW. Fast forward on to NWO a little bit. I want to talk to you about Dennis Rodman joining
Oh God.
NWO. Now, I love my basketball. I'm back in the day, massive MJ fan. I love Space Jam, so I was a Bulls fan. I really like Rodman, but God, he was that prick in this, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Back in the 90s, the Bulls were everything to a kid, a US kid my age. They were winning championships. They were a dynasty. Anybody that watched Elimination Chamber last night, they had the announcer from the Bulls do the introduction for CM Punk the same way that he would do it for the Bulls during the Dynasty era.
That was so awesome. I loved that last night. That was amazing. Dennis Rodman. What was it? I think it was Dennis Rodman, Hogan versus DDP and Jay Leno.
Yes, they did do that one first.
Oh no. Or was it Eric Bischoff? That was
that was Bischoff versus
that was
Leno.
Bischoff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got what do you and that was at Hog Wild. What was your take on that for someone like NWO to get in that mainstream with Jay Leno?
I was asking myself, why the hell is Jay Leno inside a ring?
Why has he got arm lock on fucking Hogan?
Right. Like he doesn't belong in the ring. I mean, at least when they put Karl Malone in there with DDP, that made sense. Karl Malone was an athlete. Jay Leno was a talk show host with a big ass chin. It didn't make sense. I think the only reason it made any sense was because of how much he loves motorcycles, and it was at Hog Wild.
Yeah. For someone in the UK, we did get the Jay Leno show over here. So for someone watching that, I'm thinking, who the fuck is Jay Leno?
Yeah.
Like you said, he's a big car and motorbike enthusiast. But yeah, I kind of thought, what the fuck are they doing? Like I rewatched it earlier this week, and I thought, oh, that hurts. If you're a wrestling fan and you see Jay Leno put a wrist lock on one of the biggest names in pro wrestling, you kind of can't fight people saying, "Oh, wrestling's bullshit." At that time,
I mean, especially with the fact that Hogan was selling it.
Yeah. Yeah, and apparently he's got a good grip over Jay. For 15 months, Sting was in the rafters doing his crow gimmick and stuff like that, developing it. In 1998, we're just getting through the split of NWO, their tensions. Savage said he don't need NWO's help. Hogan is being way fucking Hogan at the moment, being big-headed. Before this happened, and I watched this in on something to wrestle with. What was your take on Ultimate Warrior returning?
Oh God!
And this is 97, 98, somewhere around that. He returning and just caused a lot of shit with the NWO, and so some of the weirdest stuff, like the mirror.
Yeah.
What's your take on
that whole storyline was just confusing. I think this had to come directly from Warrior. Like, this is exactly how I want this to go. And if we don't do it this way, then I'm not doing it.
Do you
like
think
that's the only thing that would make any sense to me?
Actually,
because it was so weird and off the wall and very on brand for Jim Hellwig.
This is 1990, just after 97, so 97, 98. Yeah, and the one thing that really got fucked up is when the Warrior came up through the ring with a trapdoor, which then obviously a match before damaged Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog's back, which then caused a lot of fucking shit for him. Yeah. It's just some of the storylines in NWO was really good. I'll just gloss back from the beginning, like give you a sample, which I probably should have mentioned earlier, was when the outsiders coming back in after Bash at the Beach with Rey Mysterio. Getting lawn darted through the window. Well, he wanted to go through the window, but he said no. He got lawn darted into the trailer. Those kind of stuff made it so real that people in the neighborhood had to call the actual police.
Yep.
That's how real it got. And then you fast forward 2 years later, you got Ultimate Warrior giving Hogan his own head.
Yeah.
It's amazing what 2 years could do.
Mm-hmm. That whole storyline, it confused me.
It confused everybody, that whole story. Yeah. But let's go to something more positive. You mentioned it earlier. Dennis Rodman and Hogan versus DDP and the Postman. Karl Malone. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm English, but I know my shit on basketball. I love that match, and just having those two celebrities must have been really cool, especially for you guys in America, which is so sports oriented.
Oh yeah, especially at that time that there was a big rivalry between the Bulls and the Jazz. No, on one side you had Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman. On the other side, you had Karl Malone, John Stockton.
Yep.
It was the best of the best. And, letting them get into the ring, which I love wrestling more than I love anything. Being able to see two of my favorite athletes get into my favorite sport, it made my heart so happy.
It was so awesome to see. At least then I knew it was a celebrity match. I knew both of them.
Yep.
Bret Hart debuted December the 15th, 1997, a month after the screw job, which was obviously me and you said it was utter bollocks, how she should have been the next fucking night. He eventually joins NWO, which back during that time, it wasn't that good, don't you think? It was like everyone could join.
Yeah, at that time, the NWO roster was so stacked. It was so overcrowded. Bringing in people like the former Virgil, bringing him in as Vincent, Horace Hogan, Dusty Rhodes.
I don't get why Dusty was the NWO.
I don't know.
Yes.
But they pretty much had everybody but the members of the LWO,
DDP,
and at that time, Sting.
Goldberg?
Well, Goldberg too.
Yeah, but like you said, Sting and that, yeah. So let's get into that Sting. So there's tension, Savage and Hogan and Nash and all stuff. Scott Hall was having problems backstage with his demons. And he split the NWO. So one half is the black and white, which is Hollywood, and the other half is Nash's Wolfpack. Now, I'm a massive fan of the Wolfpack, from the music, from the colors. If you see our colors on Wrestling Pedigree, especially the T-shirts that's been released, there's a lot of black and red because I prefer the Wolfpack. What was your take on the Wolfpack colors and the presentation they did with the Wolfpack, especially with the theme song?
I absolutely loved the Wolfpack. Like I loved the NWO. Breaking them up, splitting them up. I was Wolfpack for life. Like bringing in Conan,
K-Dog,
Lex Luger making the jump.
Yeah.
Eventually getting Sting in there. Oh my god, I loved it. And actually, I want to say it was, was it 19? Yeah, must have been the year they formed. A few friends of mine and I went as the Wolfpack for Halloween.
That'd be 1998.
98, I would have been 14. Yeah, sounds right. I think that was my last year doing trick-or-treating.
So you're just as the Wolfpack. At that time, you're switching WCW and WWF, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you're going like this, and then doing this, and then doing this, and then doing this.
Yep.
Just telling them to suck it and then say too sweet.
Yep, exactly.
I love that. I love the Wolfpack bit, but having K-Dog in it, like you said, Sting with the ref face. I never seen Sting with the ref face before. That was so cool. About quick ideal for you. Just actually not ideal, like a quick question for you. You ever played the computer games of the WCW and NWO?
Yep, WCW NWO Revenge.
On the N64?
Yep.
What was your take on those kind of games? Because it was so cool. I think this is before No Mercy.
Yeah, because I believe No Mercy came out in 99.
Yeah.
And WCW NWO Revenge came out just a couple of months before it.
Yeah. And it was so cool.
Oh, it was. I would hang out with my friends, play that. Of course, I would always be Sting. Whether it was red and black, black and white, or Surfer Sting. Every single time.
I love Surfer Sting. This is gonna be funny. So obviously NWO got a bit with they got like the in-gang violence going on, so Wolfpack and they're fighting everything. Before we close this chapter, the Freak of Poker Doom, which was Wolfpack versus Hollywood for world title. I want to know your take on it because this whole month we're going to talk about controversy with WCW, but let's start off the month with one of the biggest fuck ups they ever fucking did.
To steal a line from Conrad Thompson, who booked this shit?
Hogan.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't work for me, brother.
No.
People blame Nash beat Goldberg at Starrcade. Then it was decided that it's going to be Nash versus Hogan. Knowing Nash and how we spoke about him, and he likes the money, I don't think he would decide, hey, I just beat the guy who was 184 wins streak. I'm gonna lose it the fucking 2 weeks later to Hogan. That has to be all Hogan and his creative, like, surely.
Well, the way I'm thinking of it is Hogan probably said it doesn't make sense for me to beat Goldberg. Why not have Nash beat Goldberg and then we'll do this. And then we reform the NWO.
But why the finger?
Because it's Hogan.
Punch
Right.
them out. Like
he went for the punch.
Yeah.
And then he stopped. And poke.
You know what's so funny? We talked about DX last week, which is in our archives, ladies and gentlemen. So please watch that. That's a really good episode. We talked about Triple H and Shawn Michaels' European title match. That was more fun. They could have done that. I mean,
yeah.
Nash would have pulled a quad, but still, he would have done that. Yeah. Then they just split in half, and then they had Bischoff back, and then they had Vince Russo, and that went all fucking shit, which we will go through the new blood and the last 2 years of NWO in a later episode this month, which I really look forward to it, and Steve will be reluctant to do it. And literally, I cannot wait for that. The last
Guys, if you want positivity from Wrestling Pedigree, do not listen to that episode because I am going to shit all over Vince Russo. There will be no positivity about Vince Russo.
And I will send this to Vince Russo.
I will fight him.
Oh, everybody else wants to, especially in the Juggalo, which is a really good show, but apparently Memphis wants him now. I'm going to give you some names of people that were in NWO, and you can do the same word, but I want you to know what you thought of them before we go, okay?
Okay.
So let's start with Vincent.
Okay.
Exactly.
Mike Jones had such an upside and was so underused.
Yeah.
I think he could have really, really been something if they had just given him the opportunity other than that little bit after he betrayed Ted DiBiase in WWF.
Yeah, and by the way, him no selling. Do you remember the song they sang at the Slammies?
No.
Years ago, and it was Hogan and Tuts and all that. Yeah, I shared it on our TikToks and stuff. I will send it to you. It's literally everyone else is singing, but there's no sleeves. Vincent like this, looking at Hogan, no selling, and literally not singing. He's just got a mood face on. He's like, frick. I love it. For me, Virgil went over for me on that one.
Like, guys, I will just tell you, I am part of the meat sauce mafia.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Elizabeth.
Oh, she is one of the reasons I loved wrestling in the 80s.
Oh yeah,
like she was absolutely gorgeous. And you know, having her next to her real life husband, it just, I think it made Randy better.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can see. I mean, WrestleMania 3 it's just unbelievable because it's the chemistry also.
Yeah,
that's why Triple H and Stephanie worked. That's why back then Maro and Sable worked till apart. It's just the chemistry, and you know it's real. Kurt Hennig.
Oh, one of the absolute best wrestlers of all time. You know, I don't think Mr. Perfect was a gimmick. I think it's who he really was, because everything that he did was simply perfect.
Brian Adams.
Oh, underutilized. One of the best big men to ever grace a ring.
By the way, this is all the people that's members of NWO. Scott Steiner.
Oh, I loved Scotty. Absolutely love Scotty.
I could beat him at maths.
You could beat him at math, but you can't beat him at Steiner math.
No, I can't beat him in a fucking what is it?
Arm wrestling.
That's the one.
I mean, he was so good when he was part of the Steiner brothers.
Yeah.
For being a guy his size, coming up with the Frankensteiner move, that was insane to see. And then him just getting bigger and having peaks on peaks on peaks. Like he had muscles that shouldn't have been fucking muscles.
He was the first person that should have just said meat.
Yeah.
The disciple.
Oh,
Or as
Brother Brudai.
Comrade said, "Bruce the fucking barber, baby." I loved him.
He knew what he wanted from the business, and that's exactly what he got. He got to ride his best friend's coattails.
Yeah,
which, I mean, it made him a lot of money. It made him kind of a household name.
It did.
I can't argue with his logic.
And his barbershop is forever remembered because of Sean. You mentioned him earlier, Horace.
He gave nothing. He gave nothing to the NWO. Gave nothing to the wrestling business. The only reason he was in the business was because of who his uncle was.
There's a couple of paydays ready, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Stevie Ray.
One half of the greatest WCW tag team of all time. He was good on the mic.
Yeah.
He was average to good in the ring. I wouldn't say he was great in the ring. Of the two of them, Booker was definitely the better of the ring in the ring.
Yeah. But it's kind of like the New Age Outlaws, where one would be really good, the other one is good on the mic. So it's kind of similar to that, I would have thought.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this one. Disco Inferno.
Oh God, fuck Disco Inferno.
There we go.
Just fuck Disco Inferno.
I knew that was coming, but I just wanted to. David Flair. Yeah, he was in NWO, ladies and gentlemen.
He was. You know, I was just reading about David Flair. If he had taken his training seriously, he could have been great. Like he had the charisma. Charisma isn't something that you can learn. It's something that you have.
Yeah.
If he had worked on his in-ring ability, he could have been at least an upper mid-carder for the length of his career.
Oh yeah. And him and Crowbar and Daphne for me was fucking amazing. I loved them.
Yep.
I love those three. Now we go. I kind of go shift it non-PG now. April Hunter. Exactly.
April Hunter. Huh?
Yeah. She was in NWO. As class as she was in NWO.
I don't remember her being in NWO.
Major, tiny buck, but major guns. She was in NWO.
Huh.
Pamela Full Shock. Akira. And the one that we know is Manjula. I want to say Manjula is Molly Holly, but I could be wrong.
I think you're right.
One more to end the show. Jeff Jarrett.
Jarrett has such an incredible mind for the business. Like I will never, ever, ever shit on Jarrett.
No.
Incredible mind for the business. Great in the ring. Great on the mic. I mean, who else could get over calling somebody slapnuts?
I loved it.
Or
It pissed me off.
or in WWF, spelling out his name. That's JEFF JARRETTJ
Any
Jeff
great.
Jarrett.
Any great. Spend my days working. No, sorry. Sorry, I literally just thought I was on a fucking Bruce Pritchard fucking podcast then. Yeah, what a hell of a mind. And when he does come to, he comes over to England in AEW, I always hope to run into him because I love to pick his brain.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, he's one of those geniuses. If you could get over in 4 different companies, you are doing something fucking right.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go, before we obviously we're going to go into 99 to 2001, what's your final legacy? What do you think the legacy will be of NWO, and what's your take on it?
NWO was arguably the greatest faction of all time. Without the NWO, I don't think we would have gotten the Bullet Club, at least not to the extent that we did. We wouldn't have the Too Sweet everywhere in fucking wrestling. Without the Bullet Club, I don't know if AJ Styles would have rose to the peaks that he did.
I agree.
Same can be said for Jay White, the Young Bucks, all of the elite, really. NWO is iconic.
Yeah.
The black and white, the black and red, just those 3 little letters, they spelled change for professional wrestling. They helped WCW to overcome WWF. They made wrestling fun again. And it was one of the greatest times of my life, was being able to just sit there and watch the shit that the NWO would do. And then the responses that DX would do. They've said it before, that they've said it a million times. When you're NWO for life.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what I am.
And as you guys can too, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can tell that we're in the black and white tonight. However, next week we'll be back in living color, talking about all things WCW. Please check our social medias for the topic of WCW we're going to be talking about. Quick one, Steve, where people find you?
You can find me on Facebook under my government name, Steve Akins. You can find me on X under pedigree_Steve. Find me on Instagram under So Many Tragedies. Find me tonight on the Wrestling Roundtable. Find me every week here on the Wrestling Pedigree, talking about whatever Matty and I decide that we want to talk about that week.
Exactly. As long as you guys are entertained, that's all we fucking care about. And we are like having fun doing it. You can find Wrestling Pedigree on Facebook. You can find Wrestling Pedigree on TikTok. You can find Wrestling Pedigree 92 on YouTube and Instagram. And finally, you can find us on X on Pedigree Rest, which is our new profile. So from myself and Steve, enjoy this week in pro wrestling. Enjoy professional wrestling.
And don't be a dick.